What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome. I am the Crypto Crow. I am attempting to stream in 4K right now. I saw a friendly request and I'm going to see if it works. I have no idea what to expect. I'm going to be watching for dropped frames. I'm only doing like 13,000 kilobytes per second or something to that effect. So I don't know if this works out. Maybe I'll try to bump it up. But I'm going to give it a shot if I can. We'll see what it looks like. Am I scarier in 4K? Am I older, younger? I don't know. You have to give me some feedback on how things look. Joe Berlin, what's going on? First in chat, welcome. Phil McCracken, good afternoon. My cousin Alex, of course. What's going on? 4K, nice. Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea what it looks like on your end. I can see it on mine, and so far no drop frames. So far so good. Murder of crows, man, it's been crazy. It's been crazy how the murder of crows have been picking up steam, and hopefully that helps inspire some people that have been holding them for a little while. It's an ebb and flow, it's an ebb and flow. In the fact that I've been basically going live every day again, and so many things have been happening. The murder crows are popping, and I love it. I do love it. Looking at Bitcoin's price, we are once again bouncing up around the $25,000 area. I just bought one. I bought one this morning, and of course we start to move down. And honestly, until we get out of this range, and I know exactly what's happening, it's really difficult to try and figure out what's coming next. If my accumulation pattern were to play out, technically speaking, this could be a very, very small point here, to which point we move back up in this. There are ways to adjust this, but I think a bottom or a lower move is more pertinent here. So if I'm looking at high block capital, let's go ahead and zoom in on this. A lot of liquidity forming all over the place. So, quite literally, a market maker can just become Pac-Man and wick down into 24,000, even down to 23.8, could basically wick down, wipe out all these people, and then head back up towards the 125 range. The highest point of liquidity on here with any concentration at all is 25,400. At which point, if we do close there, then my Wyckoff accumulation pattern is kaput. We're done. We're moving up likely further into the side. However, there's so much stuff going on with the banks, and it's obvious that a lot of these crypto banks are basically being targeted. The government wants them gone. They either want them gone or compliant. And it's funny because there are other things happening. When I get to the FEDNOW stuff, I think that'll probably help you understand, about what's happening and potentially why. But to start off the news, here's the target date for Ethereum Shanghai hard fork. After over 2 years, early Ethereum stakers may finally withdraw their stake starting on April 12th. April 12th is likely going to be a day. Here's the thing. It depends on ultimately what happens in the grand scale of the market, but it's obvious that right now Bitcoin's dominance has been starting to grow. And I think it's been starting to grow because people are feeling as though Bitcoin is a safer play right now, while the SEC and all the regulatory bodies and the crypto regulation, the FEDNOW, all this stuff is just kind of bubbling, right? And everybody's trying to figure out what's okay, what's safe, what do we do? And so a lot of people are saying, well, we know Bitcoin's safe. And so some people are exiting their altcoin positions and going into Bitcoin until this all gets sorted. That's, in my opinion, very much by design. A lot of what's going on, in my opinion, is very much by design. But given where we're at and what is likely to take place between now and April, we've got April, May, June, July. We've got 3 months until FEDNOW. And I'm going to go over some FEDNOW stuff here soon. Some of the questions that I have as far as it relates to FEDNOW or CBDCs for that matter, is ultimately when they start ushering these CBDC tokens in, What does that mean exactly for the grand narrative of crypto? Are these going to be used as exit and on ramps? On count number one. Are these going to be used as exit and on ramps tokens where you have to buy into them before you can buy anything else? Is it only going to be? Is it only going to take place? Is it only going to take place? I got to stop looking at the comments. You guys throwing me off of my game, yo. Anyway, let's just skip into this. I mean, basically, April 12th is likely going to be, we're going to see some liquidation of Ethereum because these people have been holding it, kind of like what we're seeing and what we expect to see with the Mt. Gox holders. It's like their Ethereum's been locked up for 2 years. Some of these people have been wanting to get out for a while. Now they're going to be able to. Even if they were to just sell the profits they've been able to earn through their staking yield of Ethereum, it's basically happening. So April 12th is the date. Mark that on your calendar, mark it on your charts, and we'll see what plays out. Now, here's a question that I have for you guys. I don't know how many of you guys use ChatGPT, but it's obviously one of the most significant artificial intelligence models out there. This kind of chat, and it answers questions, it writes reports, it creates programming code, it can write a story, it can do all sorts of stuff, and it's been growing in popularity. And I know it's either just released or it's about to release, I think 4.0. I know Midjourney just launched 5.0. I've been playing with that a little bit, but there's a lot of reports that ChatGPT is somehow hacking people. They're hacking Facebook accounts. So that's the question. Is ChatGPT actually hacking you? Well, what do we in crypto know? We in crypto know that you don't just download stuff off Chrome because a lot of people can fake things. Fake GPT. The new variant of fake ChatGPT Chrome extension is stealing Facebook ad accounts with thousands of daily installs. A Chrome extension propelling quick access to fake ChatGPT functionality was found to be hijacking Facebook accounts and installing hidden account backdoors. Particularly noticeable is the use of a malevolent silently forced Facebook app backdoor, giving the threat actors super admin permissions. Another thing I see too is I see a lot of private messages that I get on Facebook from friends telling me, hey, I found this old picture of you. Check it out. Is this you? Or, hey, I'm so sorry to hear that your friend died. Here's more news. That all this nonsense. I never click any of that stuff because I know exactly what it is. I just reply back and I say, you've been hacked. And then every time somebody comes back and they're like, you're right. I'm so sorry. It's terrible how loose Facebook has gotten and how many people are taking advantage. By hijacking high-profile Facebook business accounts, the threat actor creates an elite army of Facebook bots and a malicious paid media apparatus. This allows it to push Facebook paid ads at the expense of its victims in a self-propagating worm-like manner. In this write-up, we will uncover the techniques used by this powerful stealer that started propagating on Facebook and the official Google Chrome store early this month with thousands of new installations per day, and yet to be detected by either Facebook or Google. This is terrible. This is terrible. And this is why I don't ever use unknown, unproven extensions in my browser. I just don't. You guys know, man. I mean, once bit, twice shy. I don't play any games anymore with anything unknown. Update March 9th, 2023. Following Guardio's report regarding this malicious extension to Google, the extension is now removed from the Chrome store. That's good because this Guardio is an app that monitors all kinds of bad stuff and malicious activity on the web. And I get little notifications. That's how I found out about this. Our security research team at Guardio is constantly monitoring the activity surrounding ChatGPT's brand abuse, with endless campaigns propagating malware and phishing for your credit cards. On 3/3 of 2023, our team detected a new variant of a malicious fake ChatGPT browser extension, part of a campaign started in early February with several other ChatGPT branded malicious extensions. So there you go. It looks like they got this pulled off. So back to work, but it's the stuff that keeps coming out though is pretty bad. So keep on the lookout. Make sure you keep security as primary. Press release, March 15th, the Federal Reserve announces July launch for the FEDNOW service. Isn't this perfect timing? It's so funny how this is basically planned to launch in July in the midst of all of this banking crisis. Isn't this insane? I wonder how many of these banks are going to be a part of this. We're going to take a look at that because the number is growing. And it's many of them are obviously banks that you and I all use. I'm not going to read this whole thing, but it's basically just to let you know. Yeah, number 2. The Federal Reserve announced that the FedNow service will start operating in July and provided details on preparations for the launch. The first week of April, the Federal Reserve will begin the formal certification of participants for launch of the service. Early adopters will complete a customer testing and certification program informed by feedback from the FedNow pilot program to prepare for sending live transactions through the system. And I was diving in a little bit deeper and I was trying to understand more about, the technology because I want to know, how is this built? Obviously we know it's a centralized system, but what is the system? Is it a ledger-based platform at all? What is the technology? And I was trying to dive in a little bit, and I was kind of exploring, and I found this. FedNow will be here soon. Let me go ahead and zoom in on this so that you guys can see it in the smaller box window. FedNow will be here soon. The Federal Reserve's new service will enable individuals and businesses to send and receive account-to-account instant payments 24/7, 365. So in some sense, this is great because it's ultimately eliminating the banking hours, right? So if you're trying to send some sort of wire, if you're trying, if I want to send a wire right now, I have to go to the bank, I have to sit in a line, I have to do all this crap, and then I have to make sure and hope they didn't screw it up somehow. And then you have to wait a couple hours, a couple days, or even a couple weeks, depending on, and it's just such a it's such a drab, right? So that'll be eliminated. Ultimately, we're going to be able to, people are going to be able to start sending and transferring value from point A to point B, pretty much almost instantly, 24/7, 365. And it will be available to all depository institutions in the U.S. by 2023. Well, by July. How should financial institutions respond? Nobody cares. Fireside chat on demand. So you got Dan Gonzalez of the Federal Reserve, financial services, and then Melissa Burns. I guess they had a little chat. You can watch that if you want. So this is the clearinghouse, and this is ultimately what they're utilizing for these payments. So real-time payments for all financial institutions. RTP from the clearinghouse is a real-time payments platform that all federally insured U.S. depository institutions are eligible to use for payments innovation. With mobile technology and digital commerce driving the need for safer and faster payments in the U.S., financial institutions of all sizes are taking advantage of the RTP network's capabilities. And this is all fine and dandy, but do you guys know that this technology was started back in 2017? And so that's a pretty big deal because it's taken all these years for them to go from what I assume would have been inception and early development to where it is now. And you can see the participants. Citibank, I know PNC's in here. You've got Huntington, First Fidelity. Let's see, there were some other big ones. There's PNC. Regions, obviously that's a big one, especially in the mortgage world. US Bank, obviously a big one. Sunnyside Federal. I mean, there's so many different. Wells Fargo, I like how they have them last at the list. We have the most terrible corrupt bank, but they're at the very end of our list. It's just my opinion. And maybe you can quantify that based off of the number of times they've been fined for all kinds of crazy shit. But Anyway, Fifth Third Bank, obviously a major one. I know it's a big bank throughout Cincinnati, I assume on a national level. But anyway, a lot of these regional banks and national banks are on board with this. And then if you look at the technology partners, you can kind of see who all are playing roles in this technology. None of them that I can see are blockchain companies, though. You've got the funding agents, and then you have the advisory group. So all the different people that are part of the advisory group. Now, there's also some things that I found interesting, and that's the secure token exchange. And there's only 106 of you in this right now. I guess it's because it's not about Cardano or not about anything really attention grabby. But this I found very interesting because as I was reading this, I was thinking to myself, how close is this to what Sam Bankman-Fried was doing with FTX? And could there be any chance whatsoever that, I don't know, maybe Gary was out there supervising or keeping track of what they were doing with some of the systems out there, that maybe it wasn't necessarily about FTX, but maybe they were beta testing something. I'm just, and I could be completely wrong, but, and I might have my wires crossed. But passively, when I was reading through some of the stuff related to FTX and Sam Bankman-Fried and the things he would do with like duplicating accounts or duplicating tokens and then using the duplicated tokens to create liquidity and do all kinds of stuff. But there's some of that, and it just struck me as familiar. And I'm not trying to like drop a dime or assume I know. I'm really not. I'm not trying to be sneaky here. I just thought there were some similarities. And I'm just thinking in my little brain sometimes at night. I thought, and I'm reading through this and I'm just thinking this is interesting. So enhanced security with account tokenization capability. Financial institutions on RTP network already know that the rise in digital transactions make doing business a lot easier, but it has also led to an increasing, it has also led to an increased the number of accounts. I get tongue-tied when people write poorly. Thank you, Clearinghouse, for a job well done writing this out. A number of account numbers being stored in locations outside the banking system. Okay, but it has also led to an increased number of account numbers being stored in the locations outside the banking system. This makes account information a potentially vulnerable target for hacking. If account numbers are improperly accessed, they can be used to initiate unauthorized debits in the ACH or to create fraudulent checks. So I would love to be a detective. I always thought it'd be great to be a detective. I would never be as good as CoffeeZilla, though. I mean, that guy, honestly, he takes the cake. But I do tend to connect dots sometimes, whether they're supposed to be or not. RTP account tokenization. Now, this is the part that I got thinking. Secure token exchange is a new capability available for payments on the RTP network that issues tokens for financial institutions' account numbers. These tokens are used like real account numbers in the RTP network, which helps to reduce financial institutions' account numbers from being stored outside the banking system. An RTP payment that uses a token is sent through the network in the usual way. Tokens are random numbers to stand in for a customer's account number so that the real number does not need to be used to send or receive a payment. Even if compromised, the token is of limited or no use to cyber criminals. So basically, it's almost like, I don't know, is it like they have the value stored somewhere, but the transfer of that value is going from A to B, but virtually, but like not really? It's ultimately like sending a traceable, trackable transaction from point A to point B on a ledger system that is ultimately reassigning value to various account numbers, but it's also using fake account number, not necessarily fake, but like, I guess you could call it usable account numbers compared to actual account numbers, so that none of these account numbers are falling into public hands or hackers' hands. And even if they were, they wouldn't get anything out of the system because it's all basically just transferring ones and zeros. But because of the nature of the technology, it's not something that can be easily thwarted or messed up by like end user error or anything of that nature. Ultimately, I'm sure this whole thing it can or will be utilized and managed by some sort of AI system. I mean, at some point. So that's the technology a little bit, but ultimately what it boils down to is this is coming. This is coming in July, for better or worse. And I say for better or worse is because the technology is great, but how is this going to play into the crypto market? And that's ultimately what I want to know. So at 20 minutes in, I want to try and keep this video short and just kind of give you the meat and potatoes and not go into any big tangent or any big thing. I might go live a little bit later on this evening. We'll see. But ultimately, yeah, I just wanted to share the news. So check out murderofcrows.io. And until next time, guys, crow your coins, and I'll see you soon.